Raise your fists together. I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Red and yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. Everybody is somebody. Stop the violence. Save the children. Stop bullying. Save the children.
Hold your head high. Stick your chest out. You can make it. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sonia Whitaker, National Education Policy Director for Push for Excellence. And on behalf of the Rainbow Push Coalition, we'd like to thank you so much for giving of your gift of time and joining us here on our Saturday morning forum. We'd like to thank Word Network for bringing you to us and us to you. And yet we recognize that there are many of you who are watching us now on Facebook Live. And for the many of you who are watching us on Facebook Live, we want to ask that you like our page. And for the many of you who prefer to watch us on YouTube Live, we'd like to ask that you subscribe to our page so that you may gain immediate access to all of the content that we have in store for you. And speaking of content, we can't do this without you. We need your support. And we've made it really easy for you to give. In fact, you can choose from one of 3 different options. You can simply pick up that cell phone of yours and text the word push to 41444, or you can take that same cell phone and hold it to the QR code on your screen and give right on the spot. Or if you prefer, you can simply go to our website at rainbowpush.org and click on the donate button. Now, whatever you do, do not move, sit still, don't touch that dial. We'll be right back because the push is on.
This is Bishop Tavis Grant, the Acting National Executive Director of the Rainbow Push Coalition. I want to invite you, I want you to set and save the date, July 15th through the 19th, right here in Chicago, the 2023 Annual Convention of the Rainbow Push Coalition. It's our international gathering. You know, as we bring people together from around the world, it's going to be a phenomenal time of information, engagement, and interaction. And I want you to be our very, very special guest. The registration is just $35, $15 for seniors and students. And you can go to www.rainbowpush.org and register today, as well as register on Eventbrite. This is going to be a phenomenal, historic, blockbuster convention. And guess what? I can't do it without you. Reverend Jesse Jackson, for over 50 years, has been serving on the front line, moving the country forward, broadening the margins, and affording us to be under a big tent called the Rainbow Push Coalition. So I want to invite you personally to be a part of this. Listen, if you want to volunteer, if you want to be a sponsor, if you want to be a contributor, if you want to be a partner and a participant in one of the greatest conventions of social justice and civil rights in this country, July 15th through the 19th, right here in Chicago. We're looking forward to seeing you real soon as we keep hope alive.
Give it up for the band. Give it up for the band. They worked so very hard. You mind turning on the lights? Would you give me this mic for a second? One of our members decided to come to church today. One of our members decided to come to church. His name is Reverend Jesse Jackson. Great icon. He always comes to church. And sometimes, come on, give him a great big hand, everybody. Reverend Jesse Jackson. Yeah. You may be seated. He's been my friend a long time. He's an icon. He has fought for a lot of people. And God is healing him. And he's doing great. And look at him. He looks like he's young. I ought to make you run around this church. So I'm glad you're here today. We just pray for you. Everybody stretch your hands toward Reverend Jackson. Say, God, touch Reverend Jackson. Heal his body in Jesus' name. There's a mic here. It's dangerous to give you a mic because you might say hope. You might say hope.
God bless you, church. Good to be home today. Most relevant minister in the whole world. Reach out to the world, you can't be God-given. See things you must be in yourself. Friends, I'm in a wheelchair. I have Parkinson's. I inherited from my father a congenital disease, but we'll beat this too.
Yeah, we're going to beat this disease.
I once was young. I could run down the steps. Now I'm older. I've seen a lot. I saw Dr. King killed. I saw bombs fall on people, the West Bank and all that. I've never seen the righteous forsaken.
Never seen the righteous forsaken.
See there today. Thank you, God. Thank you, church. Say peace. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.
Presence of justice. Peace of presence. Be quiet and different peace.
Peace.
Quietness is the absence of noise.
Yeah.
Peace and presence of justice.
Yes.
Say peace.
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 Food me out of Ukraine.
Yeah, peace.
Go back home.
Yes, peace.
Peace.
But you have to say hope at least twice. I'm not going to let you out of here. Chain this wheelchair down. You have to say hope.
I am somebody. I am somebody. I am somebody. Respect me. Protect me. I am somebody. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
Yes! Keep hope alive.
Jackie Robinson leads off for Brooklyn. Jackie Robinson leads off.
Jackie Robinson singles for center.
Smashes the double to left field.
And the heavy-hitting second baseman responded by racing a tremendous triple to right center.
Every game has its heroes. One of them certainly was Robinson.
The Brooklyn fans go wild.
He dances back and forth.
Robinson dashes to the plate.
Jackie Robinson set his sights and set a scorching home run. And the men from Abbott Field climbed from the depths of defeat to the heights of victory.
People who are a little different from the majority in their skin color, or the way they worship their God, or the way they spell their names.
And I think the conscience of America is beginning to awaken. The only thing that we're demanding is that we be allowed to move ahead just like any other American citizen.
At the height of this country's era of segregation, we have a symbol of perseverance through immense, unnecessary hatred. Our color barrier breaking second baseman, Jackie Roosevelt Robinson. Imagine being the recipient of deep hate that he faced from the fans, the media, opposition, and even his teammates. The offensive racial slurs he heard every time he reached base, but he was able to ignore it and handled it all with elite grace. For peace sake, move forward, never looking in the rear. First season playing, he won Rookie of the Year, then an All-Star, MVP, and a World Series champ. A big shout out to Branch Rickey for taking a chance that was that risky. Athlete, philanthropist, husband, and a father too. Whether in pinstripes, Cardinal red, or Dodger blue, all wearing the number 42 just to honor you. Every April 15th, we pay homage with all the paintings, all the murals, all the monuments to a symbol of black dominance and black prominence. We salute you, Jackie Roosevelt Robinson.
Push Excel's goal is to inspire students to strive for excellence in education in spite of personal, family, and community challenges that they might experience. How do we do this? By advocating for educational policies that guarantee equal funding for all students without regard to race or economic standing. By engaging parents, students, and teachers in pursuing high-quality education and striving for educational excellence at every level. And by forging partnerships with community-based and public sector stakeholders in education. Now, Push Excel is a national model program with the purpose of connecting principals, parents, popular personalities, and students in a bond, and to support students at every level on the educational ladder. Now, we want you to become a member of the Rainbow Push Coalition and Push Excel. Your annual membership can help us to change policies that impact students, colleges, and universities all around the country. So step up and sign up today. Membership is only $35, and if you're a student or a senior, $15. Just go to our website, rainbowpush.org, and push join to become a member, or push donate to support the Push Excel program. You can also text the word Push Excel, that's PUSHEXCEL, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give us any amount that you feel comfortable giving, or call us at 773-256-2775. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you. And remember to keep hope alive.
The Talk by Bradley Ross Jackson. Straight A's decorated my report card as I envisioned my mom, smiling from ear to ear. Yes, life is but a dream, and I was living the dream! Until the sirens started to scream, and the red lights, they began to beam. Yes, sir? No, sir. May I slowly reach for my insurance card, sir? Why did they attempt to strip away my dignity with intimidation, discrimination, and humiliation? It's all a ball of confusion, and I'm up to bat. And I am batting 1,000 with my education, articulation, and optimization. Even so, the combo must occur, because unfair exemption does not offer people who look like me sweet redemption. Like James Brown jamming at the Apollo. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. My hands are proud enough to remember the 10 and 2 positions. Sir, you stopped me and ran my license plates too? Simply because I'm driving a luxury car that looks brand new? Those who are not kissed by the sun do not have to endure this madness. No, not one. Sir, may I please depart as I did not commit a crime? Like 9 minutes and 29 seconds. We're running out of time. Addressing the police as sir was not my way of selling out, but it was my creative way of surviving and removing all doubt. Staring through the windshield, thinking sir, S-I-R, must mean surely it's racism. Images of 9 minutes and 29 seconds danced through my head. My peeps are depending on me, and they cannot find me dead. You see, the talk was not about the birds and the bees. Instead, my talk was about the police officers' knees.
When you shop, Amazon gives. Visit Amazon Smile and select Push for Excellence as your charitable organization by starting your shopping at smile.amazon.com.
There are a number of legal issues that you and I must be concerned about as we look at the news, we've listened to the news. I know we watch the news. Some of us watch it on network television. Others of us are watching the news in social media. And some of us are just going by word of mouth. But wherever you get the information, there have been several legal issues that we should be concerned about. One of them is this idea of stand your ground. And we've seen it play out in 2 different jurisdictions one in New York, upstate New York, and the other in, not in New York, but in the South, well, Missouri. And so what we found, one, in the Missouri case, young man goes to the wrong house, to thinking he's picking up his twin brothers, and only to be shot in the head and shot again in the shoulder by the resident of the house, where he rang a doorbell. And so in Missouri, there's this thing called stand your ground under what we call castle doctrine, where one is allowed to protect life and property if it is invaded by someone who is trying to cause, or you believe that is going to cause great bodily harm. Well, here you have a short, small, framed young man. All he did was ring a doorbell. There was no conversation between the parties. And the next thing we know, this young man, the 81-year-old, 82-year-old resident of the house, doesn't open the door. He simply shoots through the glass door, hitting the young African-American male in the head. And then he does open the door and he shoots him again in the shoulder. The young man has enough adrenaline pumping through his body to run, thinking he's going to run for help. And he passes several homes and no one stops, comes out of the home. No one calls 911 to get him treatment. Finally, when he passes out on the street, someone calls 911 and he's taken to the hospital. Now, this is an interesting thing that happened in a community, obviously, of homeowners. This is a young man that has a stellar background. He's not gang related. He wasn't coming from a party. He wasn't with a group of violent teenagers. He wasn't yelling and screaming. And yet, he finds himself in the hospital merely because he rang the doorbell of the wrong house. And I know you're wondering, how can this happen? What's going to happen to the shooter? And interestingly enough, they didn't keep the shooter. They didn't charge him immediately. They simply, somehow the police felt that I guess they felt they should protect the shooter. You've got to be concerned about these stand your ground laws, which are really reminiscent of laws that were crafted by state legislatures, some 27 of them, after Reconstruction. You have these laws which give and guarantee people certain rights to property. And you remember Trayvon Martin, how he was killed walking through the neighborhood eating Skittles. And then up in New York, young ladies were driving in a car on a country road. They got lost and then found themselves in a driveway which was unfamiliar to them. It was the wrong driveway. They proceed to turn around, like many of us have gotten lost when you're out of your neighborhood, out of your state even. And so they're making a U-turn, and this young lady is murdered, not even the driver of the car. She was with some friends, found out they were at the wrong address, trying to turn the car around. She is killed. And so we're beginning to wonder, what is causing this? Is it the proliferation of guns in America? And somehow young people seem to be targeted because they're perceived as being more violent than they are, more fearful than they should be, more frightening to adults. And so you have these two different distinct cases, all involving a shooter that's shooting from inside the house. And in neither case were these young people a threat. Neither of these young people were moving in a manner to cause great bodily harm. So I'm wondering, what was in the psychosis of the two people that decided to shoot these children? And what should we do about it? Is it change the laws, perhaps, about access to weapons? Is it also to change the laws about protection of property? Under what conditions are you allowed to make these life-threatening decisions? And so that's one of the cases. And then now the Supreme Court of the United States has a case pending before it about an abortion pill. A pill that, it terminates pregnancy in the very, 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 very early stages at a time when most women are not even clear that they are pregnant, but they may be having some other gynecological issues that affect them. And it's interesting that the drug that the United States Supreme Court is asked to enforce a ban on, which happened at a lower federal court, is a drug that has been used for more than 2 decades by doctors and women. And the interesting thing about the request that this drug be banned is coming from people who say the Federal Food and Drug Administration has no authority to determine when and under what circumstances drugs are okay to be used and applied by doctors across the board in the United States for people in the general public, women in the public. So now normally every drug you get that's prescribed by your physician has an approval by the Federal Drug Administration. Now this case says they don't have the authority to determine whether a drug is safe or not, but it can be, even if they've determined that it is safe, as it was in this case, this particular drug, they're asking a court of judges, not judges who are physicians, not judges who have investigated the case of use of this drug as to whether or not it has some legal issues with it. They are determining whether or not the Federal Drug Administration has the authority to determine that a drug is safe and can be used. Now we have drugs used all across this country, except this particular drug that is used to continue what may have been a miscarriage so that women can survive what can be a horrific moment for many women, a miscarriage. They can take this pill as prescribed by a physician and it will eliminate some of the issues that one may have. I can't give you all the medical stuff because I'm a lawyer, not a doctor. I'm a preacher, not a doctor. Similarly, those justices who sit on the Supreme Court are not doctors either. And I'm trying to understand, what does it mean when the United States Supreme Court or any judge can determine that the agency of government that is assigned the responsibility of making sure the drugs we take, the drugs that are prescribed by physicians who are licensed in the United States, can not be used by the general public when a prescription has legally been written? How do these justices make this kind of decision that can be life-threatening for women? And so the issue is, this particular drug is not just a drug that uses to cause an abortion to occur, but it has been used in many instances to protect the life of the mother when she has some issues that are gynecological, and I can't give you all those details. So that's that case before the Supreme Court. They're still waiting, the United States Supreme Court, to decide what they're going to do about a woman's body. Women, I would ask you, what should you and I do? Should we demonstrate at the United States Supreme Court as we've done when they overturned Roe versus Wade? Perhaps we should call on our U.S. senators who pick and confirm these justices to the federal courts and to the U.S. Supreme Court. Perhaps we should begin to look at the United States Senate. Who are we sending to hold these Senate seats to represent us? I would submit to you that that's why women must understand our power. We're the majority of voters in this country. We must take action. Women organizations across the nation are outraged at the lower court ruling. We're watching the United States Supreme Court. If you have some questions and concerns, please call us at rainbowpush.org. Call us at Freedom 773-3366. There are just so many legal issues that we are going to be looking at our upcoming Rainbow Push Convention. We'll be convening lawyers from around the nation in every branch of, every area of law to really begin to look at when and under what circumstances are civil and human rights being violated, and what it is we should do to fight them in the courts. How can we introduce legislation in the legislative bodies at the states, like the states' rights agenda that we see happening with schools across the country. Schools are banning books in states like Florida and Texas and other mostly southern states at this point, we are concerned about the authority of a state to limit access to a complete historical information about all of the people that make up this melting pot we call America. We're going to be talking about books being banned, courses being denied in the United States, and you're going to be hearing from some of the labor organizations that are fighting the banning of books. You're going to be hearing from some of the teacher organizations. The educators are demanding that we have rights, that they have rights that should not be diminished by state legislative bodies. Why am I telling you all this? You need to be packing your way towards the PUSH Convention July 15th through the 19th. But more than that, you and I need to make sure that in 2024, when these state legislators at the Senate and the House, and state by state, we need to be voting state by state. We need to be selecting people that vote our interests, protect our rights. Thank you so much.
When I think of Rainbow Push, I think of two words: social justice.
Education advocacy.
Political empowerment.
Freedom and equality.
Global humanitarian.
Evolutionary, revolutionary.
Political change.
Inclusion, evolution. Push Excel.
Progress, justice.
Jesse Jackson.
Left divisiveness.
Equality and perseverance.
Workforce partnership.
People united.
Push yes.
I'm Otis Moss III. I'm Frederick Douglass Haynes III. And we are here simply just to say to you about an incredible organization known as Operation PUSH.
Can I be admitted? No, sir, you cannot be admitted. Why? I am not going to serve you. Because of my race?
Operation PUSH has been here for us even when we didn't know it. As a matter of fact, a lot of the doors that you walk through is because of the fact that somebody knocked those doors down.
I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
And because of Operation PUSH, when it started as Operation Breadbasket, after the assassination of Dr. King, they decided to build an organization that were people united to save humanity.
Just what is Operation PUSH? Well, Operation PUSH is a civil economics organization. It's a religious organization with an economic mission. And we believe that the black church is the political and spiritual salvation of our people. And it is to that extent that we challenge churches and churchmen to get involved.
And so we are simply asking those who have been blessed by PUSH to join the movement.
That's right. And if you do that, I promise you, you are blessing the next generation. And that's what we need, generationally, to bless those who come behind us, just as those before us made sure that we could have what we have. That's Operation PUSH, pushing doors open. But we can't push if we don't have your hand involved.
We want to turn on the gas. We want to turn on the water. We want to sell the clothes. We want to sell the cars. We want to be men. We want self-determination.
And it was Jesse Jackson who was the young man of the movement and now is an elder statesman. And we've got to make sure that we have another generation that will be pushing forward, another generation that will be building an Operation Breadbasket, another generation that will be talking about new economic strategies for those who are poor.
And ensuring that we are never politically disenfranchised. I hope you already recognize that there is a movement afoot to rob us of what we fought so hard for and shed blood for, and that is the right to express our voice through voting.
If blacks vote in great numbers, progressive whites win. It's the only way progressive whites win. If blacks vote in great numbers, Hispanics win. When blacks, Hispanics, and progressive whites vote, women win. When women win, children win. When women and children win, workers win. We must all come up together. We must come up together.
We need you in Rainbow Push to make sure we are politically empowered and enfranchised.
There is no other organization like Rainbow Push, and we encourage you to make sure that you join and financially support. If we don't support it, no other organization will. It is our duty, it is our job to support our organizations.
We got to do it. Grassroots organization, hitting the streets and challenging those in the suites. That's Operation Push.
I like that. I'm Reverend Otis Moss III.
Hey, I'm Frederick D. Haynes III. He's rubbing off on me.
Make sure you join Operation Push, Rainbow Push, today.
Keep hope alive.
This is Bishop Tavis Grant, the Acting National Executive Director, and this is State of the Movement. You know, the criminal justice system, high volume of contact with people of color, is a major cause of African Americans being disproportionately victims of fatal police encounters and the broader perspective and perception of injustice in communities of color. A criminal conviction creates a barrier to securing steady employment, education, and housing, and with felony drug convictions, persons are disqualified from public housing and many of the other necessities that you need to maintain and sustain a quality life. In addition, allocating public resources to punitive programs comes at the expense of investments in crime prevention and those programs that lead the treatment and care for these persons. The worst miscarriages of any justice system is the sentencing wrongfully and the death of persons who are innocent. That's why Rainbow Push has been fighting for people like Crosler Green, a 65-year-old Florida grandfather who has spent nearly half of his life in prison for a murder he says he did not commit. As a matter of fact, a judge agreed with him and overturned his conviction, and yet the state of Florida fought it and has him going back to prison this week. He spent the last days before turning himself in once again with his fiancée, his family, and attending church services. Green, if you know the story, was granted a provisional release in 2021. And after his lawyers cited health concerns during the pandemic, he was released. And yet, the state of Florida would not give in, would not even give place and or opportunity for his case to be reviewed, and he's now reincarcerated in the state of Florida. These egregious acts that happen over and over again, where on one hand a man is let go and now back in prison, points to the fact that according to the National Registry of Exonerations, there are 3,200 defendants who were convicted of crimes they did not commit, later are exonerated and found innocent. 53% of them were African Americans, nearly 4 times their proportional population in prisons here in the United States. And yet the numbers rise higher and higher and higher. Black people are 7.5 times more likely to be wrongfully committed of a murder of a white person, and the risk is even higher if the person is an African American or a person of color. Black people are about 7.5 times more wrongfully convicted. And when you look at these numbers nationally, they're alarming that disproportionately African Americans and brown people, nearly 80% of those who are innocent of murder and crime and rape, according to the National Registry of Exonerations, are individuals who cannot afford legal assistance, do not have the resources or access to capital to fight for their freedom. There is no doubt that the race is a proxy for criminality in our criminal justice system. There's a systemic pattern of harsh sentencing for murder convictions when the victim is white and a lighter sentence when the victim is black. The largest racial disparities show up, believe it or not, in drug crimes, because a key feature of that and what distinguishes them from murder and other crimes is the fact that police officers themselves choose who gets searched, who gets pulled over, who gets investigated, who gets arrested, and who gets charged. 69% of drug crime exonerees are black compared to 16% who are white. And even though black and white Americans use illegal drugs at similar rates, the arrest, the detention, the incarceration rates are alarming. Of the 75 innocent death row defendants who have spent 30 years or more being incarcerated, 69% of them were black. Now, there are tens and thousands of people who get exonerated in group exonerations because of the large-scale law enforcement corruption, such as the case in Chicago with John Burge. And yet these individuals continue to fight for certificates of innocence even when they have been set free. There are several remedies that we're fighting for. Number one is the reclassification of drug possession charges. Number two is bail reform and the innovations associated with it. The bail system as it is right now disproportionately impacts black and brown people because black and brown people are policed and arrested at higher rates than their white counterparts and are less able to afford the resources, the legal accessibility and representation coupled with the ability to pay bail. Last but not least, we must reduce collateral sanctions. Collateral sanctions are those legal penalties or disadvantages that accompanies an individual's conviction for felony and or misdemeanor. It could be a penalty against employment, health care, housing, and education. That's why Rainbow Push has recommended laws and public policies that limit collateral sanctions, particularly those that target reductions in health care, housing, employment, and education. We fundamentally believe once people have served their sentences, the goal should be to put them in positions where they can re-enter their communities with viability, sustainability, and quality of life. Reducing and eliminating these sanctions would create more opportunities for people to avoid recidivism and recover their lives and renew and refresh their ability to become productive parts and persons in our community. Last but not least, we believe to reduce the racial inequality in the U.S. criminal justice system, local, state, federal, we must explore and employ more ways to reduce police stops, searches, jail detentions, arrests, prison admissions, and long sentences. We'll continue to fight, and we won't compromise our need and our imperative to set the captives free. This is State of the Movement.
Brandon Johnson returns to the Rainbow Push Coalition as mayor-elect of the city of Chicago, a rousing welcome for the son of a pastor.
For a moment there, I thought I was just elected to become the next pastor of Rainbow Push.
Johnson was endorsed by Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. in March, but Johnson recalls meeting with Jackson years earlier as a labor organizer.
He just started giving me direction. What I appreciate and what I know about that now, what I didn't understand then, that he saw this day before I saw this day.
Today, Johnson recalled going to Selma, Alabama with Reverend Jackson for the 58th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, an iconic moment in civil rights history. And Johnson recalled what Reverend Jackson told him then.
I'll never forget this. He said, "Get to the bridge, Brandon. Get to the bridge." We've gotten to the bridge. And now it's time, City of Chicago, that we make sure that we transform and we build bridges across this city and across this nation.
This is Bishop Tavis Grant, the Acting National Executive Director of the Rainbow Push Coalition, along with Reverend Jeanette Wilson, National Executive Director of Push Excel. You know, as we span across the country, Reverend Wilson, we're seeing the need for us to address both from a public policy standpoint and a legislative standpoint, and add the moral obligation to talk about how do we save our communities from this scourge of violence, particularly as it relates to how it is eroding our sense of quality of life and community. When you look at what has happened in Missouri, you look at what's happened in upstate New York, and around the country, even here in Chicago, this whole narrative of violence in urban areas and the mayhem that associates with it is really not true when you sensationalize it and put it in mainstream media. And so we've been really working through our Saturday morning forums, our Saturday morning town hall, and we'll be focusing July 15th through the 19th at our international convention here in Chicago on resolve and resolution to this issue. I mean, when you talk about the work of Push Excel, the amount of money we're investing in HBCUs, I think we have a vested interest in saving this generation.
We do, and I am saying, I think, Bishop, one of the things we have to look at is it's not a one fix. We can't just hire more police and that's gonna solve the problem. And so when you look at this problem, it's pervasive. It has to do with parents. It starts with parents. And so you say, well, don't keep blaming the parents. Yes, parents have a role and a responsibility in the behavior of their children. Now, I come from the baby boomer generation. Our parents, we thought they were crazy because you were on lockdown.
Yes.
And all your friends were on lockdown. And those that got out, it was just, parents had a major role. They played a major role. And we got to go back to some level of parental responsibility. But it doesn't just stop there. You have a lot of single parents, particularly single mothers. They don't have the supports they need. They're trying to work 2 and 3 jobs, some of them. No child care. You got latchkey kids every single day. And when school's out, you have all day latch. So you got parents, the school system, principals have some responsibility on what happens in the buildings and on the school grounds. One of the things the school's gonna have to readjust its day. We have school days now that benefits when teachers wanna leave, not necessarily what's in the best interest of children. Why do you have children at 7:30 in the morning in school? Little 5-year-olds, they're at school at 8 o'clock in the morning. Our classes started at 9. You got out at 3:15, you had lunch in the building. I mean, so we gotta look at some new models. So I think it's parents, it's principals, and the other thing is who has the most information that our children listen to? These influencers and social media, popular personalities, that's what the influencers are now. Those who are in the music industry, those who are in the social media where our young people are. They used to be on Facebook, not there. Some of them on Instagram, you know where they are, TikTok.
Yeah. Well, you know what we can do and must
Snapchat.
do is reclaim our culture. We come from a culture of responsibility, obligation, and accountability. All children belong to us.
Yep.
On the block, in the neighborhood, at the school. They weren't just some of our children.
They were all
the
about
best and the worst of them. They were our children. And here in Chicago this weekend, pastors are going to be marching and patrolling, and because we need police patrol and not police control. And a part of it is this whole collaborative of community, teachers, professionals, entrepreneurs, the common person that is a resident, a homeowner, a taxpayer. These are our children, these are our communities, these are our homes, and we cannot just sit back and allow someone to come in and co-op and save us. What would Reverend Jackson say? Nobody can save us but us.
For us. So you got parents, politicians. You can't just sit back and have laws that don't make sense for the communities that elected you in the city council, in the county, as a county commissioner, as state reps. You have to look at what do we need to do to make sure that every neighborhood has resources for children. Parks, most of the parks in the underserved communities are closed. When the kids get out of school, I used to go to the park. I could run track, I could play volleyball. They had after-school programs. Some of the schools need to be open later.
And it sounds like we must demand that there be a reappropriation of resources and revenue to reinvest in these communities, particularly high-risk communities that need these resources to provide a heightened sense of quality of life, right? Because we are not going and should not sit back and allow, on one hand, our children and our youth to be criminalized. on the other hand, demonized in a way that they ultimately end up being institutionalized, either mentally, physically, or both and.
Both and. And so I think that we can stop this, but it takes all of us. We have to sit down as a collective and expect our neighborhoods to look like the affluent neighborhoods. You don't go to Barrington and see children on the street because they have the school and the park and working in concert with each other. They have after-school programs. I'm swimming. I'm learning Olympic swimming. I'm doing soccer. I'm learning some craft. We don't have any of that. Churches, pastors, the churches have to also be open. You cannot have these islands, these white islands sitting in the middle of desolation and violence, and we're doing absolutely nothing. Father Pfleger marches every Friday. We're going to have to look at how do we take control of the communities where our buildings, our church buildings sit. Many people are commuting, but on the other hand, we have a responsibility to those communities where we are located. And then, I don't know what a P is for the business community. I'm running out of P's. We got parents.
Profitability.
Profitability, yeah. You who profit from us. You who make some money off of the children, selling them.
Goods and services, retail. I mean, I think it's important that you
fast
who watch
food
us
restaurants
and support Rainbow Push understand that, you know, some of the things that we're going to be doing as it relates to solution summits and opportunities to bring stakeholders together, this is not localized, it's nationalized in terms of its impact on the broad body of what we call community. And it's been the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson, a bottom-up approach. You know, first thing he starts every school year, and you're the lead.
Take
in
your
that
child
area.
to school.
Take your child to school. This is
your
personal
parents,
responsibility.
meet your child's teacher.
Take them to
Exchange
synagogue,
home numbers.
or exchange phone numbers. Turn the TV off 3 hours a night. I mean, it starts with responsibility, accountability, and affording this generation to have access to resources, programming, and services.
And so I think, Bishop, y'all help me now. I want Bishop to convene a body from around the country, on West Coast, East Coast, South, and Midwest. This is a pervasive problem. We need to convene the stakeholders. We can't act like, oh, just lock the children up. No. If I were a state's attorney, I would say parents whose children are acting out, we're going to have to lock you up or fine you, because you are responsible for raising these children. You can't just say, I can't help, I don't know what to do with them. Bring them to someone that can help them and help you. That's what we want to do, provide help at every level. Some need counseling, some need some reprimand, some discipline, some need some ethical understanding. Yeah. Some need crisis intervention. Some of our children are living in war-torn communities. What would you do if a child lived in a war-torn community? Would you lock them up or would you give them counseling? These kids walk through death every single day in some of these neighborhoods. And so there's no fear of being shot because they see it all too often, stepping over bodies in their homes, in the street. And so we got to really understand we have a generation that has seen more violence than any one of us.
And I think while the challenge is what it is in scale and scope, you can help us. 773-FREEDOM on your dial at www.rainbowpush.org. We're open to hearing from you because some of our brightest and best ideas come from our partners and our members around the country. You know, we built and continue to build this platform under the tutelage and guidance of Reverend Jesse Jackson. And it's so important that you as a member and a follower realize your part in participating and being a partner in this process. So go to www.rainbowpush.org or call us here in Chicago, 773-FREEDOM on your dial. Or listen, you could help us most immediately by texting the word PUSH to 41444 because the resources that we need, though they be many, your investment makes a huge difference in what we're able to do every day. Reverend Wilson, there's no greater time than
now. And those of you in the Chicagoland area, all of the surrounding suburbs, you should come on Saturday. Bring your ideas, bring your thoughts, but bring your presence, because the other P is presence. We have to be present, proximate to the need of our young people. They have great needs that we're not meeting. You and I can help make that happen. Join us Saturday at what time?
Saturday, 10 a.m. right here in Chicago at Dr. King's workshop, 50th and Drexel, where we're always keeping hope alive.
We're winning every day with you.
Hey, Rainbow Push Coalition family. We are hosting a Paint and Sip fundraiser Saturday, April 22nd, 2023 from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Come and indulge in your inner artist. Bring a friend. The cost is $50 per person. For more information, you can call 773-256-2777.
You know, every week I thank you and appreciate you for joining us and helping us keep hope alive. And I really want to make an appeal to you right now because we're right in that crucible where many of our young people are coming out of high school and college, and we are going to have to respond to them. Many of the relief efforts are still going on around the country, and we have to support them. And then it's the day-to-day benevolent services that we provide through our Constituent Services Program right here at the Rainbow Push Coalition, also known as Dr. King's Workshop. Your contribution of $100 or more, or your membership, makes a tremendous difference to what we'll do and how we do it and how many we can do it for. And we just don't turn anybody away. And so you can go right now and text the word PUSH to 41444 or any of the number of platforms at the bottom of the screen. You can even go to www.rainbowpush.org, or you can call me personally at 773-FREEDOM on your dial, and we will answer your call. I want to thank those of you on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and a quarterly basis. You give to the cause of civil rights and social justice. And even now, your $100, your seed, your contribution affords us to make sure that when that senior calls, we answer. When that worker needs help, we answer. When that homeless family needs resource and support, we answer. When someone is trying to return home, we answer. And you dial that number, you go to that website, but we have to put boots on the ground and we have to put hands on the problem. We need you right now. This is a critical time for us at this time of the year that we need you to help us sustain and maintain and stay in front and keep the wind at our back. So I want to urge you and ask you, even now while I'm talking, go to that web, go to that mobile site, text that word PUSH to 41444, or go to www.rainbowpush right now and hit the membership tab. And maybe you want to give a membership for somebody else. Maybe you want to renew your membership. Maybe you just want to give that amount of money, that amount of seed, that amount of support to help Reverend Jesse Jackson keep hope alive. Let me thank you in advance for your contribution. It means so much as we're doing it all. All that we do it for you, keeping hope alive.
We're excited to get more people involved in Rainbow Push, supporting the programs of Push for Excellence and the Citizenship Education Fund. If you're interested in impacting public policies, if you believe in the scholarships that we give to thousands of students each and every year, you can become a policymaker by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now. For an annual membership of $35, or if you're a student or senior, $15, you can help us make a difference in the lives of millions. How do you become a member? Visit our website at rainbowpush.org and press join. Or maybe you'd like to support us. You can text the word PUSH, that's PUSH, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give any amount you feel comfortable giving. You can also call us at 773-256-2775, or go to rainbowpush.org and push donate. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you.
Dr. Kim, I went to jail with a group of 7 students, July 17, 1960, almost 60 years ago. We never stopped moving. I lost a few jail cells and death. We never stopped moving. I thought it was time to write some of it down so the older generation can learn how we did and what we did and how global it was. Whether speaking about Mandela in South Africa, India, Qatar, about Gandhi in India, here at home. This book tells the story, so please get it. To give it to your friends. Read it, let's argue about it, let's discuss it.
Yep, so the book is Keeping Hope Alive, Sermons and Speeches of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. It's quite a good collection. You know, we've got sermons and speeches from around the globe because you have made such a global impact, not just here in the U.S., but around the world.
Thank you for tuning in to our International Saturday morning broadcast. We need your support. Here are ways to give to Rainbow Push Coalition. Text PUSH, P-U-S-H, to 41444 to support the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and Rainbow Push Coalition. When you shop, Amazon gives. Visit Amazon Smile and select PUSH for Excellence as your charitable organization by starting your shopping at smile.amazon.com.
So thank you for joining us on our Saturday morning forum. Be sure to visit our website at rainbowpush.org so that you can gain information relevant to our up and coming annual convention. You'll also want to visit all of our social media platforms so that you can gain additional information about all that we have going on in the organization. And equally important, we appreciate your ongoing support. Feel free to take that cell phone of yours and hold it to the QR code on the screen and give on the spot. Or take that same cell phone and text the word PUSH to 41444. Or you can simply go to our website at rainbowpush.org and click on the Donate button.
We are Sanctuary. We are a sanctuary.
When I think of Rainbow Push, I think of two words: social justice.
Education advocacy.
Political empowerment.
Freedom and equality.
Corporate partnership.
Stop the violence. Save the children. Don't get in. Shut it down. If we don't get in, shut it down.
Political change.
Inclusion, evolution. Progress, justice.
Jesse Jackson.
Keep hope. Keep hope alive. Alive. Keep hope. Keep hope alive. Alive.
We want to be bridges to end these cultural gaps.
We're going forward. By hope. Not backwards. By fear.